Good morning. Welcome to the No Way Jose podcast. This is the morning dump. It's Monday, June 22nd. I'm your host, Jose Galison, and this is the kitty of the day, little Kittler. Look at him. He's got a little perfect little Hitler mustache. Everybody else in the house has been calling him Moose, but come on, he's a perfect little Kittler. He's a sweet little boy. Now, for those who like seeing my hot takes Monday through Friday, typically around 11 a.m. Eastern, going a little early today, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. Or if you just like seeing the kitties of the day as well, then also hit that bell for notifications. That way you can see when we're going live and we're dropping new videos. And that way you don't have to. That way when we run a little bit early, run a little bit late, you get a little bit of a notification whenever YouTube feels so amenable to that. They still don't always do that, but it is what it is. But with that, guys, we'll see you in the show. Little Kittler says hi. We'll see you again. He'll see you again some other time. We'll see you in the show.
Beautiful thing right now.
Rise and shine. It's a beautiful day. I'm all right.
About a third of the building has been blown away.
This is the bridge to white lights.
Our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts.
And at that point, we were taken for another round of questioning, this time related to our allegedly being members of Mossad.
Crazy evil.
Good morning, everyone. Hope you guys had a good weekend. Hope you had a good Father's Day. It was my birthday as well, so I had a double helping, a Father's Day / birthday, both on the same day. So I had a pretty cool one. Hope you guys did. I ended up having a meat coma. It took like a good 3-4 hour nap, middle of the day. Got me some barbecue. Got me a bunch of meat snacks. See these things right here? I need to get big enough to get sponsored by somewhere like this, like Carnivore Snacks. These things are dope. They have all different types of cuts. Got a bunch of these, went to town. They're too dang expensive, though. So, obviously, I'll say otherwise if you sponsor me, baby boy. They're not that expensive, completely affordable. But with that, guys, hope you guys had a good one. We have, I was about to say we have plenty to go through today. That is just my normal autopilot, what I normally say. No, we actually don't have, I guess we sort of have plenty. We still have plenty to talk about, but we are cutting back a little bit today. I'm trying to go on the shorter end. Maybe keep it around an hour to an hour and a half. Every time I say that, though, we tend to go way too long. But going a little early today, just have a little bit of a weird schedule change for Monday. One of the kiddos need to go to a sports thingamajig. So we moved things around, and I still want to check in with you beautiful people and not let the bookmarks get too backed up. But we still have a good amount for you guys today. As always, we start the show off with Icebreaker Content. The fun, the funny, the gen pop slop, that sort of stuff. And today's no exception, so we'll start that off with a little bit of Icebreaker Content. Toad went viral today, so we'll talk about that, or last night. And then we'll get into the foreign policy portion today, which I elevated to a titled segment today, calling it U.S.-Iran Negotiations Begin and Maybe End. And then we'll get into the last segment of the day. You can see what I'm getting at. A little bit of a shorter segment today, or shorter show today, and then Epstein class God, what is with my words today? Diplomacy. That's the word I was looking for. Epstein class diplomacy. I have a few different Epstein stories to dig into with you guys, and it's kind of roughly tying into things going on, particularly say with like the Iran deal. Is this blowing things up? And it's kind of an inside look on how this Epstein class moves. We always love a good reason to dig into some Epstein stuff. But we'll have plenty more. I actually had, as I was prepping this morning, I had other segments that I already have ready for future ones. But And I would have added today, but I just needed to keep it shorter. I didn't want to be here too dang long, so that way I do have a little bit of a hard out. So had to cut things back, but with that, there'll be plenty more stuff for us to talk about later in this week. So pop in Monday through Friday around 11 a.m. Eastern. Now, I do like to remind you guys, you never know when we got a new person in here. We're at a new time, today, a little bit different times. Who knows? Maybe a new person's in here. You may not know the shtick of the morning dump, so a little bit of housekeeping, a little reminder how this works. I call this an info dump format. Essentially, it's just a bunch of articles, bookmarks, yada, yada, yada. Just kind of stuff that I'm meaning to dig through that I haven't really had a chance to dig through yet, for the most part. And this is where we dig through it together. We dump a bunch of info and we kind of process it all together. Some of the stuff is not always, dump type information. Sometimes it's stuff we're reprocessing that I've already gone through before, and for whatever reason we're rehashing it, maybe in a different light. But with that, you guys get the idea. Now this is a live interactive experience now, but most people don't catch it live. Most people just catch it later, and that's perfectly fine. I think you're missing out on the experience, but whatever, I get it. Not everybody can be available at the times that we do these. But if you are someone, catching on the replay, I do try to accommodate you guys. And, I know not all of you guys want to listen to the chat banter. What we do is we timestamp each segment and we keep the chat banter towards the end of each segment. That way, as soon as you hear chat banter, you just go, oh, crap, I'm out of here. What the hell? Just go down to video/podcast description and go down to the timestamps, and most platforms these days have hyperlinks, so you should just be a click away from moving on past it. And now, if you are here for the live experience, so I do try to give everyone at least one good morning. After that, you got to catch my interest or catch my wallet. Wallet, obviously, being super chat. You can drop a super chat, and I will make sure to prioritize it. Although I think I'm a pretty gracious host, depending on how I'm doing on time and stuff. I tend to interact with the chat quite a bit. But if you want to get through the haze, that is the way to do it. But with that, let's go ahead and get into some icebreaker content, and then we'll check in with you beautiful people in the chat, see how you guys' weekends were. But yeah, like I told you guys a minute ago, Toad went viral over the weekend, crushing it as he does every now and then. So this is a pretty funny one. I thought I'd share it with you guys. Thought you would get a kick out of it. Here is Toad, and he's quote tweeting the House Republicans. And what the House Republicans are quote tweeting is, so it's a little bit of a quote tweet within a quote tweet, but we'll get there. You'll see the humor of it. It doesn't necessarily translate as well in a live stream / podcast experience, but here we are. There's this, I'll just go ahead and show you. Here's the clip, a little of a cute clip from Elmo. This is kind of the original post here. It says, Elmo just wants to set the record straight. Go Team USA.
Just to be clear, Elmo wants Team USA to win, okay? But Elmo loves everybody. Just to be clear. Don't make this a thing. Thank you. Elmo loves you, and Elmo loves you, and Elmo loves you, and Team USA, and everybody who's playing.
All right, so just a cute little message from Elmo. House Republicans quote tweeted, Elmo is a certified patriot. And then Toad quote tweets it with, yeah, he is. And I totally forgot about this. I don't know if we covered this in the show. Maybe we did. I know we had, pretty sure we covered the Mecha Hitler ordeal when that happened. When Grok went full on Hitler and just was having a grand old time with it. And then they had to reprogram him, and, he started no longer being able to identify patterns as well. But the same thing, I guess, had happened with Elmo. There's an Elmo account. And actually, I wonder, is this the same @ I actually want to check. Let me see if it's the same @ Yeah, it's the same @ It's the same Elmo. So, the actual Elmo account, I think I got hacked a while ago. I'm not exactly sure when this happened. So maybe some of you guys remember this. Chime into the chat if you do remember when it happened. It doesn't really matter, though. But just a couple examples of the sort of shit Elmo is saying and what kind of adds a little humor to what Toad's saying here about, yeah, he's totally a patriot. Here's Elmo. And once again, I wanted to say for the purposes of YouTube, I am repeating what Elmo is saying here. So Elmo says all Jews should die. Fuck Jews. Donald Trump is Netanyahu's puppet because he is in the Epstein files. Jews control the world and need to be exterminated. And then there's another tweet from Elmo. Release the files at Donald Trump, child fucker. And there's another one that's like kill all Jews, which, okay. It'll be funny, obviously, given the context here with Toad. Saying Elmo is a patriot. But anyways, he's up to 24,000. That's where likes on Twitter. 453,000 views. So he broke through the atmosphere with this one. So good on you, Toad. You made for a good laugh. But let's focus in on other funny tweets. Maybe get a little bit more serious, more political. Here's a photo of some of the worst people ever together. Here is some of the first families. We have Obama and his wife. We have Bush and his wife, Bill and Hillary, and Joe and Jill. And it's a post from Barack Obama. It says, "To George and Laura, Bill and Hillary, we're grateful for your friendship, counsel, and devotion to this country. And to Joe and Jill, thank you for being on this journey with us." And what I have here for you guys is an account called Alfred the Great. It says, "To George and Laura, Bill and Hillary, love you big dogs. And to Joe and Jill, hello." So it's just a weird tweet. And this feels like almost a professional way of saying fuck you. This political photo op. And essentially it seems like all these guys are like, God damn it, Jill and Joe screwed this up just being here. It sounds like they're not close. It was just weird because if anyone remembers the Obama days, they always tried to act. They had this tried to manifest this meme that Obama and Joe were homies, and I don't know, it was almost like Joe was the original, was it Waltz or whatever? He was just trying to be the aw shucks white guy. Well, let me tell you what I'd do if I was experiencing someone messing with my property. I'd come out and I'd shoot up in the air, and that would be enough to get them to stop. And I don't need no AR. He was that guy. That seemed to be how they were positioning him. But it's just funny to see that I guess they aren't homies. Otherwise, how do you interpret this tweet? I mean, maybe I'm being feminine here and over-interpreting this, but it just seems like a very weird way to phrase a tweet. I don't know what context I could possibly be missing that would totally make sense for them to break off Joe and Jill to thank you for being on this journey, as opposed to this loving sentence about the rest of them. Grateful for friendship, counsel, and devotion to Joe and Jill. What's up? Moving on in the same vein of but looking over at the right side of things. Here's one that I meant to cover last week. It would have been more appropriate. But there was a post from the New York Post. This was the headline: Iran's disfigured, probably gay Supreme Leader agrees to direct talks with the U.S. could start this weekend. Which is I never read this article, but I don't know if we ever covered it in the show. Maybe we did. We had to have when it happened, but it was months ago. Around the beginning of all this, there was a post from the New York Post, and I think it was a sources say sort of story. So it's what do I do with this? And the source, funny enough, could be somebody like a Trump or somebody just spreading rumors to, behind closed doors to journalists. But either way, there were reports that, the Nabshta, or whatever the fuck his name is, the new Khamenei, he's a homo or something, which I don't know. I mean, maybe he is. Maybe he obviously would have to be closeted given his position. But that's been a weird line they've been running with. But I mean, it just seems like weird Trump shenanigans. So it's just kind of funny here. Here's a post of Trump sitting next to one of his assistants, which I believe I've seen some before. He was talking about literally how he does his tweets and stuff. He just kind of just tells his assistants what to say. So this is an accurate version of how this could have gone down. So here's just him leaning over to an assistant going, "Tell them to put probably gay in the headline." So that's how I like to imagine. That's how this weird probably gay angle got inserted into this. It's also completely out of left field. It's completely irrelevant to the topic. The topic of the article is oh, they're agreeing to meet with direct talks. So just throw in a random probably gay. Weird move, but hey, do you, New York Post? But with that, with the talking about the deal, let's talk a little bit about some Zog tears that have been quite glorious, and we're going to drink them in some more. Although we have reason for caution when it comes to this, but that still won't stop us from enjoying these beautiful, beautiful, delicious Zog tears. Here's Mark Levin complaining the Trump administration is bullying widow Israel.
I want to say to people in and out of the administration, stop trashing, smearing, bullying the little state of Israel. Stop cozying up to and telling us that the enemy regime in Iran is now more rational, more moderate, and a regime that we can deal with. When just a few months ago they slaughtered 50,000 people, they're still hanging young people today.
I swear that number keeps going up.
And if they had a nuclear missile today, they'd fire it into our country as sure as I'm alive. I don't know what's going on, but if people think they can bully a little country, a people that have existed 4,000 years, through the Babylonians and the Persians, through the Romans and the Third Reich, into surrendering their defense and their decision on how to secure their country, they got another thing coming.
So more Zog tears from Levin, accusing the Trump administration of trashing, smearing, bullying the little state of Israel. Here's Levin at a recent international policy summit in Jerusalem. I got another clip for you guys from the summit here in a second. Pretty astounding clips. I've seen a lot of great clips come out of this. It just seems like every few months there's one of these summits where they're like, hey guys, let's say all the quiet things out loud and just make it perfect for all the podcasters to be able to clip. And here's another example of it. Here is Bizarro Levin, as we can call him. He's saying the opposite of what is actually true. Here is him talking about his relationship with the Israeli government.
And yet people keep giving opinions about me that aren't true. And yet people keep giving opinions about me that aren't true. I read headlines and I go, did I say that? No, I didn't say that. So I just want to explain, I'm not an agent for the Israeli government. I don't meet with the Israeli government. I don't conspire with the Israeli government. Believe it or not, I love this country, and I don't need any government to tell me that.
All right, I don't know. What have you got? I don't know if any of you guys actually believe that. Although I will say there's a small chance that like what he's saying, they're saying he's not an agent for them, he doesn't meet with them, he doesn't conspire with them. I mean, there could just be a chance that Levin is just so on message, such like a top tier like Shabbos goy that he's just like the instructions are downloaded in his head. Like he doesn't even need to consult with the government. He just knows what is in the best interest of Jewry, at least from the perspective of those who reign above in shadow. Perhaps I could totally buy that he's just that in sync that he doesn't need to meet with them. But it is pretty funny, especially in light of what did we cover the other day? There was the reports that Netanyahu is apparently planning to essentially upend this Iran, U.S.-Iran deal that's being negotiated currently. And one of the ways they intended of doing it was through influencers. And the funny thing is, the only person actually explicitly named in that report is Levin. So just if any, it's so funny. It's just coming from him. He's literally like probably the most likely influencer there is out there. Aside from maybe like legitimately like explicitly Israeli influencers of some sort. But like so far as like American influencers go, if you can even really call Levin an influencer, I guess, he's probably like the most likely to be completely and utterly bought and paid for by the Israeli government. But what would I know? I'm but a mere goy. What would I know? I don't know. I'm just a stupid goy. All right, I've set this one up for another one of these. As I said, these kind of perfectly making these clips, saying the quiet part out loud. Well, it looks like they brought a goy to do exactly that, and here is him doing that. This is a British colonel, so at least it's not one of ours. So the Brits are pretty cucked. So it makes sense. This is a Jewish News Syndicate summit, by the way. But don't put too much stock in what he says. He's just but a mere goy.
I speak as a goy, a mere goy. The Jews were put on the face of the earth to be a light unto nations, and Israel is being that light in defense of its own country, and I think most particularly not just in military technology, but in the way in which those extraordinary men and women of the IDF have shown the world how to fight. And many countries in Western Europe, which are going to face this violence, will be looking to Israel to see how they're going to fight. So the narrative is one thing, but action, I think, is even more important.
What an insanely ghoulish way to look at the world. Oh, wow, what a blueprint for how to carry out warfare going forward. Well, a little freaky, but with that, let's go ahead and pop in the chat, say some good mornings, and then we'll get into our foreign policy coverage, talk about these U.S.-Iran negotiations, talk about how they just started, how they very well might be ending as well. Some pretty crazy shit happened there. But all that and more here in a little bit. Let's go ahead and crack into this chat. Good morning, J Tunnels. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Ikenbaugh, and saying happy birthday. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning, Afares says, MP is Mr. President over here, or Minister President over here. Oh, which, by the way, God, someone answered. I asked on the other day what an MP was over, essentially over in Britain, just kind of flippantly, and one of you guys answered. So big ups to you, Shira. It was Member of Parliament. That's what it stands for. So for us American people here, which a little hint, I think we might be digging a little bit back more into some grape files type stuff here soon, grape gang files. So good to keep that in mind. I'm sure we'll be repeating these British words quite a bit. So MP, Member of Parliament, that's who it is. That's what they are. So it's just like a politician generally. So like a kind of like Congress or something. Good morning, John Black. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Cubertimo. Good morning. Good morning, Retardo. Good morning to you. Tom says, fuck these non-chatting hoes. They can listen to our banter. Yeah. Okay. You know what I mean? But good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. People like the timestamps, though. People like the timestamps, so it works. Good morning, Tower Gang NBC. Good morning. Good morning. Cubert says, John motherfucking Black. What the fuck are your colored ass doing over here on Rumble? Get your old black ass back to YouTube where you belong, boy. Okay, cool. Well, we got Rumbles bumping today, so that's cool. Good morning, Farm Girl. Says, to be fair, there's no way that Joe Biden is the same one Obama had as his VP. That's a good point. We got the multiple Bidens theory, which it's looking... It's like it seems like every other month we get some new little bit of info of like, yeah, totally, we're totally admitting, Biden was completely fucking just fucked mentally at that point in time, and just kind of like slowly just conceding the truth, but usually putting some sort of weird spin on it. Oh, here, kitty back there, if you guys see kitty on the TV. There you go. Oh, pregnant kitty. There's Violet. But so yeah, maybe he's not close with that one. I mean, maybe it's just hey, we're not, I'm not as close with this version of Biden, perhaps. Cubert says, bring back Black Biden. Good morning, aggressively agreeing. Says, Titus would have made Levin an example. People would have cheered. Good morning. Say what now? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. I think we're all caught up. Cubert sending a happy late Father's Day to you and all the daddies out there. Same to all of you. From me. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into some foreign policy, get into the latest, what's going on there. But let's jump into it. The latest, Trump issuing threats to negotiators. So, kind of nothing really that much new. I mean, they killed the negotiators like twice now. So, I mean, it's kind of nuts they're even still showing up for more at this point. But hey, but here's a piece from Dave DeCamp over at antiwar.com. Says Trump issues threats against Iran and its negotiators during Switzerland summit. Trump on Sunday issued new threats against Iran and its negotiators as U.S. and Iranian officials were in Geneva, Switzerland, for the first round of talks under the U.S. Memorandum of Understanding. Speaking to Fox News reporter Trey Yingst, Trump claimed that he spoke with Iranian officials overnight and told them, "You close the Strait of Hormuz and you won't have a country." Let's actually have the clip dialed up for you here. Let's check this out. It says, you close it and you won't even have a country. You won't even make it back to your fucking country. These are threats that Trump made to negotiators and thought this was an intelligent move. But here's Trey Yingst, who is, I guess, you could kind of see him. He's the one that's like always Trump's kind of feeding him information. For some reason, he likes this guy. Kind of like Barack Ravid and Netanyahu, like a similar sort of dynamic there. But here's Trey Yingst.
Yeah, hey guys, good morning. I just spoke with President Trump for more than 20 minutes, and he gave some new insight and reaction about the ongoing talks that are taking place in Switzerland and the threats coming from the Iranian regime. President Trump telling Fox News that the U.S. may take over the strait in the future if they have to, and collect tolls. The president described this as the United States being the guardian angel of the Strait of Hormuz and the Middle East. And the president said ultimately that would involve the U.S. taking 20% of the oil that passes through the strait. Remember, this comes in reaction to the Iranians saying they will close the Strait of Hormuz in response to Israeli strikes against Hezbollah in Lebanon. President Trump tells Fox News he spoke with Iranian officials overnight and said, you close it and you won't have a country. He went on to tell these officials, you won't even make it back to your effing country.
Yeah, I don't really know what way you could possibly take that as literal threats to the actual negotiators. Like, you won't even make it back to your country, so that you will be killed. So, nuts. Pretty fucking stupid, I would say. Says the president was reacting to news that Iran's military announced it would reclose the Strait of Hormuz in response to Israel's continued attacks in Lebanon, which killed dozens of people over the weekend, despite another ceasefire being declared. The MOU calls for a complete end to the war, and Iranian officials have said it hinges on an Israeli withdrawal from southern Lebanon, as we've been saying ad nauseum from the jump with all this. Yink said Trump also told, he said, you won't even make it back to your country, which appears to be a threat against the lives of Iran's officials in Geneva, who include Abbas Araghchi and Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf. So they got some top tier, officials there making these threats. So these aren't even just like appointed negotiators. So not very intelligent here. Separately, in a post on Truth Social, the president threatened Iran over its support for Hezbollah. Iran must immediately stop their highly paid proxies in Lebanon from causing trouble. If they don't, we'll hit Iran very hard again, just like we did last week, only harder. So now his rhetoric shifted against Hezbollah when they're not the ones that we have control of and can actually make stop. The post is notable since Trump has been calling on Israel to end its attacks in Lebanon and now appears to be shifting the blame for the continued war to Hezbollah, despite the fact that Israel refuses to end its occupation in the southern part of the country. I don't know if this is going to come up in any of our articles today, but I know there was, I believe it was over the weekend, maybe it was Friday or Thursday, there was some IDF deaths. I think it was like 4 or some odd deaths. I feel like they'll probably come up on these articles. But there was like something like 4 or something like that Israeli deaths, and that is what they started. You saw it all over social media, all the Zionist influencers kind of running with, oh my, this is why we can't, this is why, these poor Israeli boys, and this is why we need to stop Hezbollah, yada, yada, yada. Like, all just like, look, Hezbollah killed 4, and it's like, this literally, they were like, I think they were like in a tank in Lebanon or something like that. So these are literally, they are in Lebanon. They're occupying Lebanon, being attacked by people for essentially destroying Lebanon. They're in there, they're killing people, they're destroying buildings, they're creating like a buffer zone or security zone or whatever. So it's like, you can't really, it's kind of hard to go, oy vey, they died. It's like, well, yeah, you're killing people and destroying their property. So, yeah. Trump's threats violate the MOU, which states the two sides must refrain from the threat or use of force against each other. And Iran's press TV reported that Iran's delegation in Geneva raised objections with the U.S. side over his comments. In a post on X following the talks, Ghalibaf dismissed Trump's threats. Don't they think to themselves that if their threats had any effect, they wouldn't have reached the point of desperation today? We don't take the threats of the Americans seriously, he said. They better be careful with their statements. Our armed forces are ready to respond another way. Whatever they say, we are the ones who will act, he added. Iranian media reported that Iran had suspended the negotiations with the U.S. due to Trump's threats, but U.S. officials told CNN the talks had continued throughout the day and were expected to go through the night. Early in the day, an Iranian official said the two sides had finalized a draft regarding sanctions waivers for Iranian oil. The waivers were expected to be issued soon. So this is where you're getting the title for today is, the negotiations possibly ending. I mean, they've already violated the MOU just to their faces in a crazy, blatant way. They closed the strait again. I haven't heard any new news about the blockade being put back up, though, so that's positive. So we just at least we only have it from one side of things. We have just the Iran side of things shutting down. So there still will be some movement through the strait, probably. So, although I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if we see a U.S. blockade back there quite soon. So, I mean, it's just looking like we're going right back to the previous status quo. But we'll see. We'll see. Let's check in on some live updates of what's going on here. This is over at Al Jazeera. See if anything. Apparently, we have 38 seconds ago. Lebanon ceasefire largely holds, but fears persist it may collapse. I don't know what this. I don't know. We're going to cover some more Lebanon stuff here in a bit, because I do think they technically had some sort of new ceasefire, and it did pick back up and then come back down. There's a whole bunch to cover about that in a second. And how we have right here 15 minutes ago, Netanyahu says Trump's troops in Lebanon have full freedom of action, but not to get too ahead of ourselves. So, all right. So Switzerland, here's analysis. Now I was looking there was a thing with JD and some latest here in a minute. Sorry. I know this isn't great content, but I want to scroll through this to see if there's anything new. We got breaking. U.S. Treasury issues 60-day Iran-related general license for oil sales. So it looks like that went through. So that's good. We got something from the Qatar PM. The Prime Minister is saying the hard work has started on Iran-U.S. final deal. So we're getting positive messages here. So that's good. Iran's President Pezeshkian to visit Pakistan tomorrow. So kind of looks still fairly positive. Hoping it stays that way. All right, trying to see if there's anything more there. All right, let's move past. It doesn't look like anything too crazy recent. All right, never mind. Here's what I was looking for. A recap of J.D. Vance, recap of what he said. Here's a recap of the U.S. VP's comments at the Bergenstock press conference. He said negotiators made a lot of good progress in Iran talks, and a very good foundation has been set for a successful final deal with Iran. Despite the Iranian delegation threatening to walk out, negotiations continued until the early hours this morning. IAEA nuclear inspectors are set to return to Iran to verify its compliance with the preliminary agreement. The U.S. could agree to unfreeze Iranian assets for the purchase of U.S. soy, corn, and wheat. Vance said the Strait of Hormuz is open, and the U.S. wants to make sure of proper coordination on Lebanon, and technical talks will continue in days and weeks to come. So I don't know. I'm kind of astounded there's not more, considering the brazen behavior of Trump through all of this. But somehow we persevere here. So hopefully it continues. But let's check in on the cost of all of this. We got Pentagon tells lawmakers it needs additional $80 billion for Iran war and other costs. You guys may remember it wasn't too long ago they were floating about $25 billion. I think even at the time we were saying, well, that's bullshit. So now it's gone even up more. And this is probably even bullshit. So the Pentagon told Congress it needs $80 billion to pay for the Iran war and other non-war related costs. According to the Wall Street Journal, Pentagon had previously claimed that the war cost $29 billion as of mid-May. I think it started like 25, and they got all these little weird things added to it to end up around 29. A number that doesn't hold up to scrutiny, as an analysis from Steven Semler of the Security Policy Reform Institute found that the war had cost about $72 billion in just the first 60 days, an estimate that doesn't factor in indirect costs. The costs have continued to add up despite the ceasefire. The U.S. MOU and the U.S. is maintaining its military posture in the Middle East, which includes major naval armadas that were enforcing a blockade of Iranian ports. Breakdown of what exactly the $80 billion will cover is unclear, but much of it is expected to go toward munitions procurement, as the U.S. has used an enormous number of missiles and air defense interceptors in the war. The Journal report says the Pentagon leaders have said they will run out of money this summer if Congress doesn't pass a new wartime spending bill. Man, if the military could only actually run out of money, wouldn't that be great? And they would have to cut training exercises due to the war with Iran. The White House is expected to ask Congress for $80 billion plus additional funds for other non-military spending in the coming days. Yeah, that is an imaginary concept, the military running out of money. There's no such thing. The Pentagon is seeking $80 billion on top of its more than $1 trillion annual budget, as the Trump administration has pushed for record-breaking military spending. In 2027, the U.S. military budget will increase by nearly 50% to $1.5 trillion if Trump's plan, which involves combining the annual NDAA with a supplemental spending bill for several $100 billion, is passed. So we have currently at $1 trillion a year budget for the Pentagon, and they're aiming for 1.5. I think before the Trump administration, we were like half. So we're looking at like a tripling by the end of Trump's administration in war costs. So great stuff. And then we also got some more information about airstrikes in Somalia. They've been kind of quiet about that front for a while, so we got a little more information coming from there. So AFRICOM announced that its forces launched a series of airstrikes in Somalia in recent days as the Trump administration continues a heavy bombing campaign in the country, which receives virtually no media coverage. AFRICOM announced new airstrikes that it said were launched against al-Shabaab in different parts of southern Somalia on June 14th, June 16th, June 18th, and June 19th. As usual, the command offered no further details, having stopped sharing casualty estimates and assessments of potential civilian harm last year. Specific detail about units and assets will not be released to ensure continued OPSEC, AFRICOM said in each press release. The U.S.-backed Somali Defense Ministry said that the Danab, a U.S.-trained special unit of the Somali military, conducted an operation in southern Somalia on June 14th that it claimed killed 14 al-Shabaab militants, but it's unclear if it was the same operation that involved a U.S. airstrike. The June 14th strike is the first AFRICOM has announced since May 6th, but there have been indications the U.S. has been launching airstrikes without announcing them, as the Somali Defense Ministry reported several operations between the two strikes, including one that involved in an airstrike and was supported by an international partner. May 21st, a suspected airstrike killed 3 children and a pregnant woman in Somalia's northeastern Puntland region, where the U.S. backs local forces against an ISIS affiliate. The UAE is also known to occasionally launch airstrikes in the area, but not nearly as much as the U.S. Based on the number of strikes announced by AFRICOM, the U.S. has bombed Somalia at least 67 times this year. Trump has overseen a massive escalation of the U.S. war in Somalia, which came after he loosened the rules of engagement by lifting restrictions on U.S. drone strikes and raids carried out outside of officially declared combat zones. The U.S. launched at least 124 airstrikes in Somalia in 2025, which, according to New America, an organization that tracks the air war, is more than those conducted during the administrations of Joe Biden, Barack Obama, and George W. Bush combined. The latest U.S. airstrikes in Somalia come amid an election crisis in the country after many clans and factions have opposed President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, the leader of the U.S.-backed federal government, the remaining in office following the expiration of his term. The crisis sparked clashes in Mogadishu and elsewhere in the country, and Somali media is reporting that the federal government may be on the brink of war with the government of Puntland, which the U.S. backs against ISIS. And with that, let's go ahead and shift gears over to our essentially our Lebanon coverage, kind of more broadly, or what Israel's up to these days. Before we dig into that, though, I think it's worthwhile to check in and see what the sort of stuff Trump's been saying about the Lebanon ordeal and his control of it in regards to Netanyahu and Israel, and to what degree he can actually influence this. So I think it's worthwhile, since this is kind of the big sticking point of all these Iran deals. Iran deal stuff. Here's Trump being asked, are you going to be able to control Israel from attacking Lebanon? And here's what he thinks.
Are you going to be able to control Israel from attacking Lebanon?
Yeah, I will be. I mean, I wonder. They have a lot of respect for me, and they do as I say.
Are you going to be able to control Israel from?
So yeah, doesn't sound too convincing to me. This is Glenn Greenwald says the Trump agreement with Iran requires Israel to stop attacking Lebanon. Trump yesterday again said he will force Israel to stop, but Israel has repeatedly bombed Lebanon the last 24 hours. This is when we'll see if it's all theater or if Trump means anything he's saying. Now, this was sent out on the 19th, so he's talking. The 19th was Friday, so he's referring to stuff. So I think this was said. This clip probably came from like last Thursday, so to give an idea of when Trump was making these statements. But according to him, he can get Israel to chill out. He can get them to stop. So far, that hasn't seemed to be the case. And let's check in on Lebanon. Apparently, the Lebanon death toll has passed 4,000 as Israel continues its strikes. It says, despite yet another ceasefire implemented on Friday, the death toll from Israeli attacks across Lebanon this weekend were substantially higher than normal, with around 100 killed over the course of 3 days, and the attack showed no sign of slowing. So that ceasefire we were referring to earlier, I guess there was another one implemented on Friday. I can't remember if we covered that or not, but it's kind of like, what even is a ceasefire in Lebanon at this point? So, yeah, I mean, they have a ceasefire on Friday and then kill almost 100 people during that period of time. A little bit ridiculous. I know we just saw something saying the ceasefire is holding, so I'm assuming maybe Sunday was a little bit, or overnight was maybe a little bit uneventful, but it's great. Let's stop the murder. That'd be cool. Surge in killing has brought Lebanon to another stark milestone, with over 4,000 people now having been killed since Israel's invasion in early March, according to the Lebanese Health Ministry, which put the toll at over 4,000 killed and over 12,000 wounded. Strikes reported early Sunday include 5 people killed in Bekaa Valley, including a child and 2 Palestinians near the city of Tyre. The IDF claimed to have not been aware of such strikes being conducted overnight, but officials reiterated that the troops have freedom of action. So that's what freedom of action is right there. The reports of Friday evening ceasefire were enough that some displaced Lebanese tried to return to their homes in Tyre and Nabatea districts. The report suggests the destruction was so substantial and attacks have continued, so many of them have turned around and left again. U.S. officials were pushing for another round of Israel-Lebanon talks, which will begin next week. Hezbollah has expressed opposition to such talks, arguing that they only serve Israeli interests. Indeed, since those talks have resulted in several ceasefires in recent weeks, and none of them actually cease any fire, it arguably isn't serving anyone's interests at all. Israel is persistently going to talks, which Hezbollah are excluded from, with the underlying assumption that Hezbollah is to blame for whatever happens, and no matter what's agreed to, IDF troops will continue to occupy Lebanon and will continue to be free to attack Hezbollah. This has led to agreements, again without Hezbollah, that Hezbollah will stop resisting and in return Israel will keep attacking. Unsurprisingly, this has been consistently unsuccessful. So it looks like they're just giving us these ceasefires as some sort of like symbolic something out there so they can say, oh, we have a ceasefire, but Hezbollah's not doing their part here, and that's why we got to attack. It's like, well, Hezbollah's never agreed to this. You're also still occupying Israel. So, I mean, all that Hezbollah is like basically a local militia. So, like, yeah, they don't want your ass in their country, and they're telling you get the fuck out pretty clearly. But let's check in to see what some of the top dogs over in Israel are saying about how they're picturing this situation. With the ceasefire and with in regards to how any of this plays into the Iran deal. Here's a piece from Jason Ditz over antiwar.com. Says Israel sets red lines for Lebanon's ceasefire. So no withdrawal and no ceasing of fire. So quite the ceasefire, right? Massive Israeli attacks against Lebanon over the weekend managed to derail the U.S.-Iran peace deal. And the ceasefire announced on Friday went so predictably poor that U.S. officials are organizing another round of Israel-Lebanon talks to try to come up with another deal. While most aren't getting their hopes up for the next round doing any more than the last several rounds, Israel has a growing image problem, with even historically war-supportive outlets like the Jerusalem Post running editorials questioning Israeli strategy, particularly the lack of an obvious endgame strategy. Netanyahu seems to be going into the talks with little sign of doing anything different, setting red lines for the future ceasefire that include Israel not being willing to withdraw from Lebanon and wanting U.S. guarantees that they'll continue to be allowed to attack Lebanon. Many will quickly notice that looks pretty much like the status quo. Indeed, it seems to not be materially different than the last several ceasefires the U.S. has brokered, and similarly doesn't offer any timetable for Israel ever withdrawing troops from Lebanon. Netanyahu insists Israel will remain in Lebanon as long as necessary, and Defense Minister Israel Katz similarly said that not only will IDF troops remain within the ever-expanding security zone in Lebanon, but they will have no restrictions on their operations to preserve all of the IDF's achievements in the campaign in Lebanon, which means all the land we got. What those achievements are remain unspoken. The IDF has killed over 4,000 people and wounded some 12,000 others and occupied Lebanon up to the Litani River and in some places beyond that. UN estimates some 1.4 million Lebanese have been displaced. Within the Israeli polity, the stances are either to maintain an open-ended war and occupation or to escalate dramatically, with National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir leading a call to burn the entirety of Lebanon, leading to international condemnation. As ever, the chances of Israel agreeing to end the war in the near term and any meaningful war seem remote. And here's Netanyahu saying this once again, extremely explicitly. What's going on here? Basically just straight up saying the Greater Israel Project.
In Lebanon, we exploded, I don't know if to call this the beepers or the pagers. What do you use in America? Beepers. We exploded the beepers. We took out Nasrallah. We decimated Hezbollah's military machine. We prevented the Ridwan force from invading the Galilee. We destroyed over 90% of the 150,000 rockets and missiles that Hezbollah amassed against us. We established a security zone in Gaza. We established a security zone in Syria. We established a security zone in Lebanon, and we shall keep it as long as is necessary to protect our people.
So establish a security zone here, a security zone there, security zone here, security zone there. All the security zone is land we have taken via force that is now ours. So basically saying a sanitized version of the Greater Israel Project. And even more explicitly, here's Israel Minister Ben-Gvir. Big ups to John Black for making me aware of this the other day. I had not seen this. So all of Lebanon must burn, Israel Minister Ben-Gvir declares. We'll actually read that post here in a second. Here's the post. Let's go and read it. I'll read it first. Here is Ben-Gvir. Says, for every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. For every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. All of Lebanon must burn. With all due respect to the Americans, Israel must make it clear to the entire world the blood of our sons and the security of our citizens are not forfeit. All of Lebanon must burn. Our supreme duty is to protect the citizens of Israel and the soldiers of the IDF, and this commitment takes precedence over every other consideration. I told the Prime Minister, even in our private meetings, for every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep. Enough with the ping pong. In the Middle East, you don't win with measured responses and restraint. You need to go berserk, to obliterate, to crush the terror. And now this went so hard that it got hit up with the not a community post. It's a little banner thing. It violated the X rules. So they usually limit their visibility. I don't think they actually limited their visibility as this one. This is a unique one. They almost made a new category for this because if I went out there and the Elmo tweet it said that I showed you earlier at the beginning of the episode that was kill all Jews or whatever. If I posted that, I'd almost immediately get hit with one of these doodads. It's this post violates the X rules. And now they don't remove your account anymore. I mean, you still can, I guess, depending on what it is. Some people do something like that. Maybe you could, but chances are it probably would just get hit with this thingamabobber, which is your post violated the X rules, and it'll usually say your visibility has been limited, yada yada yada. So the idea is this freedom of speech, not freedom of reach or whatever, is that's the whole stupid thing Elon had there. But that's how they allow you to be oh, you can say whatever you want, but it's but we may deboost you. So it's a little bit of a different vibe over an X, but this is still a thing they do. But with the Ben-Gvir one, this is what it says. This post violated the X rules. However, X has determined that it may be in the public's interest for the post to remain accessible. So I don't know if you were able to comment. So it had still some of the limiting things whenever you get one of these. I don't think he could add. But either way, they sort of nope, we're not going to limit visibility. Everyone's going to see this. So yeah, that's Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is the Israeli, which minister is he? He's the national security minister. So he's basically their Marco Rubio saying this sort of shit. So as the Israeli the Israeli officials are saying this sort of stuff, we have JD Vance out here, and this is how he's selling what's going on over in Lebanon, which is absolutely ghoulish in considering what's actually happening here.
I know you're a Christian man, JD, and in the process of this conflict, we know that things opened up in Lebanon. A conflict opened up in Lebanon between Israel and the terrorists and Hezbollah, and so many Christians have been displaced, tens of thousands of them, and thousands have lost their lives as well. Do you have a message to the Christians in Lebanon?
Well, I would just say that to those Christians in Lebanon, keep your faith in Jesus Christ and know that you have a lot of good friends in the United States government who are trying to promote peace in the region. The fundamental problem for those Christians, or the reason that those Christians face such violence, is because you have Hezbollah, a terrorist organization that has effectively taken up shop in Lebanon. Sometimes they're firing at the Israelis. Of course, that means the Israelis are going to respond in self-defense. And so there's this constant slow burn of conflict. It's actually gotten a lot better, Rachel, over the last couple of weeks, thanks to the work of the president, of Secretary Rubio, and of a whole lot of others in in the administration, but sometimes peace takes a little bit of time to really take root. And that's what we're working towards. And that's really what we're working towards in the entire region, is just to change the way that we've done business. It's such a beautiful region of the world. There are so many Christians, Jews, Muslims who live there. Most of them are, of course, peaceful people. There's great economic potential. If you talk to our friends in Israel and the Gulf Coast, what they're saying is that if this deal really takes root, this could transform the Middle East in a positive direction. Obviously, we have skeptics of the deal, but I think we've got to give more voice also to the people who think that Donald Trump is on the verge of accomplishing something that has never been accomplished before.
Yeah. Well, I commend you for you and the president working towards peace. It's certainly commendable, and it's a wonderful thing. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, as I've said in the show, I'm not. You guys know I'm not religious. Now I'm. I grew up Christian, and I've always kind of been around it. I guess who is it? It's culturally, I guess you could say, in some regards. That's what I feel like. I don't have any problems with being the idea of this is a Christian nation. I generally like whatever Christian miasma of ideas form here in America. I like that stuff. So I feel a kinship, I guess you could say, of sorts. So I don't want it all misrepresent this as if but I find it particularly gross, this. By the way, this was also put out by his comms director, Taylor Van Kirk. I think that's relevant. So this is what he wants to be seen here. So this is what they're putting out, the forward-facing sort of stuff. But he says, to Christians in Lebanon, keep your faith in Jesus Christ and know you have friends in the U.S. government who are trying to promote peace. Christians face such violence, and now this is the part that I think is gross, because you have Hezbollah that has taken up shop in Lebanon. When it's like I quote tweeted this. I said it's not Hezbollah that's killing Christians. So I mean, Hezbollah has been in Lebanon for a long time, and I've never really heard much issues. It's not like, as far as I'm aware, it's not like Syria where they have crazy ethnic slaughtering of weird different religious minorities and this and that. I'm not aware of any of that sort of stuff with Hezbollah happening. And Lebanon being known as being one of the largest Christian nations in the Middle East, so they seem to get along, and it hasn't been an issue until Israel came along and started destroying their nation, kicking people out of homes, and it's like, oh well, look at Hezbollah, it's Hezbollah's fault. A little bit of a silly way to look at it, but yeah, I don't know, I find it particularly gross that they're out there sharing this, acting like blame this in Lebanon. When it's Israel they actually have control over, that we could actually rein in, it's Lebanon. There's no hope that, hell, even the Lebanese government hasn't been able to get Lebanon to cooperate with them, namely because they think the Lebanese government is essentially just more Zionist occupied government. They're probably not wrong. With that, let's pop over to Gaza, check and see what's going on over there, and then we'll get into crack back into the chat, check and see what you beautiful people are saying, and then we'll get into the final segment of the day. Nothing new. Someone chime up Dave Rubin. I think we're up to 10 in a row now, 10 dumps in a row that there have been bombs in Gaza. The thing that Rubin was absolutely astounded, flabbergasted when it was brought up in his Jubilee raping. But here's a piece from Dave DeCamp. It says, heavy Israeli strikes pound Gaza, killing Al Jazeera journalists, women, and children. Got the trifecta there: journalists, women, and children. Just need some medical personnel as well, and then you'd have I don't even know what you'd call that at that point. Heavy Israeli strikes pounded Gaza on Saturday with attacks targeting Al Jazeera journalists, killing women and children as the IDF continues its violations. Israeli strike on a home in central Gaza killed 3 men, including Ahmad Wishah, 25-year-old cameraman for Al Jazeera, marking the 12th Al Jazeera journalist killed by Israel in Gaza. Wishah was the brother of Mohammed Wishah, an Al Jazeera correspondent who was also killed by the IDF in Gaza when an Israeli strike hit a car he was traveling back in April. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, IDF has now killed 260 journalists in Gaza. Israeli military acknowledged targeting Wishah on Saturday, claiming without providing any evidence that he was a Hamas terrorist, which they've done this before. I remember they did this in Yemen, where they had that huge attack of journalists. It was like, I believe, initially it was being reported by some, it was the largest attack on journalists ever. I think they ended up finding it was like the second. I think there was some weird, some odd African conflict or something that took the number 1 there, if I'm recalling correctly. But either way, like their reasoning was like, well, they they essentially report positively on on this group that we consider as terrorists. So and that was the Yemen, which was under attack by Israel at the time. So it's kind of a little astounding to be like, oh, their coverage isn't that favorable of us. So herder, therefore they're terrorists. That is literally the logic of the terrorist state that is Israel. The Quds news network reported that Israeli attacks in Gaza on Saturday killed a total of 10 Palestinians. So yeah. Oh, I meant to finish the last paragraph. The outlet said the Israeli military relentlessly spreads false allegations against its employees. This is Al Jazeera responding to justify its crimes against Al Jazeera journalists and newsmen and cameramen in Gaza. The Quds News Network reported that Israeli attacks in Gaza on Saturday killed a total of 10 Palestinians. Oh, fuck. The numbers are creeping back up, including 2 girls, a 4-year-old and a 14-year-old, and their father, who were massacred while sleeping in their home in Gaza City. According to Al Jazeera, the mother of the girls was injured in the attack and later died of her wounds. Another woman was reported killed by Israeli fire in Beit Lahia, northern Gaza. Israeli attacks continued on Sunday, with the Palestinian news agency reporting that 2 Palestinians, including a girl, were killed by an Israeli drone west of Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. Wafa also reported that a drone targeted the courtyard of a school in Al-Shati, a refugee camp on the coast west of Gaza City, injuring several people. Gaza's health ministry said in its daily update on Sunday that since the so-called ceasefire deal was signed in October 2025, the IDF has killed at least 1,021 Palestinians in Gaza. So not looking much better, more of the same. Unfortunately, with that, let's roll the chat, say some hellos, say some more good mornings, and then we'll get into our last segment, Epstein class diplomacy. Checking on all you beautiful people. Good morning, Tig Tigs. It says, Don Chump is an old, incontinent, and cognitively challenged man-child. He sacrificed his integrity on the altar of greed and worships cult of the self. He should be in the madhouse, not the White House. You are correct. More from you. Zionism, a misanthropic political ideology that serves the greed and psychopathy of unbridled patriarchy, profiting from scarcity, poverty, war, sickness, and death. Death cults must be defeated. All right. Jonathan Fontaine, good morning to you. Says Trump took $312 million from the Secret Service for the ballroom. Who's going to pay Secret Service? I wasn't aware he took that from the Secret Service. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm not too concerned. I mean, the Secret Service clearly hasn't been doing that great of a job anyways. So now, obviously, I think it's a little bit silly, the whole ballroom story and all the essentially how much money that's ended up becoming like a money pit. So yeah, that whole thing's ridiculous. I don't know. I mean, I hope all the 3-letter agencies disappear. Trump knows Hez is attacking Israel. Trump is disgusting, says Jonathan LaFontaine. He knows Hezbollah is attacking Israel. I guess maybe. This guy left out every attack by Hezbollah. That's anti-Semitic. And then he says, reported you Nazi? I can't tell if you're being sarcastic or what, Jonathan. Or some sort of weird joke. I mean, it's almost, if you're being serious that the guy left out every attack by Hezbollah, I'm assuming you're referring to some of our Lebanon talks. Or what I would ask is, where the fuck was Lebanon, or was Hezbollah? Or no, where was the people being attacked? I'm assuming you're referring to IDF being attacked by Hezbollah. It's like, well, okay, well, where were they? Now, I will say the previous ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel, there was no Hezbollah in no way, shape, or form at all. The previous, because there's been like something ridiculous, like we must be on like our 5th ceasefire or whatever. But you can kind of almost break it up better by like understanding like pre-Iran war and post-Iran war. You had pre-Iran war. There was some stuff kicking off at one point. There was a minor little tiff. I can't remember the specifics of that one. What started off, but there ended up being, during a lot of the Gaza conflict stuff, some sort of hiccup of something between Hezbollah and Israeli relations, and they ended up having a ceasefire during that period of time. And as always, Israel does the same thing where they like flagrantly disregard it consistently. They kind of do the Gaza thing where it'd be like 1 to like 15 people dead every day type thing. And so they did that over in Lebanon for an insanely long period of time before. And Hezbollah never responded. They never did a goddamn thing. And they didn't do anything until the Iran war picked off. And I think if I recall, I forget the specifics. They did fire a few rockets or whatever. But it was also like, Israel did just kind of start a whole regional war. So it's a little bit more complicated. I do think, if I'm recalling correctly, technically they did restart the stuff, but like at that point there had already been like dozens, if not like over probably hundreds of attacks from Israel at that point coming towards them, and they didn't do a damn thing until the Iran war kicked off. So, I mean, and now we're back in another constant retarded ceasefire, whatever the hell this Iran or Israel ceasefire shtick is. So we're back in that same place again. So, and now the attacks that we're talking about. So like absent like the attack prior or like, that kicked all this stuff back off again. I'm pretty sure pretty much every attack from Hezbollah has been inside of Lebanon. So you kind of really can't claim, oy vey, they're coming after me, if you're literally in somebody else's house getting shot. Like this is like the murderer or the robber in my house gurgling like on the floor and being like, "How dare you?" We're like, "What? Like you broke in?" Anyways, I don't know if you're being sarcastic or what, but let's keep checking it. Let's see what else we got. Dig Tigs in the chat, going to town. JD is Peter Antichrist Teal's bitch. Yeah, me and you simpatico there. I like to call him, I say he's Teal's fleshlights. Fun talk. Good morning, Emily Lawrence. Good morning. Texas Nevsky. Good to see you here in the chat. Not been a while. Yeah, good morning, Boomer Sooner. Yeah, somebody's saying Zionist. I don't know. Like you're saying Zionist in the chat. I'm actually really not at all sure if that was sarcasm, because it is like, seems so retarded that like, are you being serious? Like, okay, like if you're being serious, it's like this is okay, but it is so retarded. Like, this is a joke. Is this what is this? So I don't know. So if you were trying to be sarcastic, I'm sorry. You're right at that uncanny valley of where like Zionists will say this shit. So you're like, I don't know if he's being serious or not. All right, guys. With that, let's go ahead and pop into the latest over in Epstein world, what's going on there. And before anyone gets upset, we did a whole Grape Gang thing last week. We're going to probably do another Grape Gang thing this week. So for the herder, oh my God, you talk about this, but not that. Well, first off, I already addressed, it makes total sense why somebody from America would prioritize the Epstein ordeal over the Grape Gangs. But even then, I do think the Grape Gang stuff is important, and we will be covering that stuff when applicable, and we already did. But with that, let's go ahead and jump into the latest with kind of connecting the dots of the U.S.-Iran deal and Epstein. So anytime we have a possibility of peace, of course, that's when all the kid diddling videos are going to come up, because we have a certain entity that seems to not like peace. But here is, what is his name? Ari Ben Manash. He's a former member of Mossad. Here is him talking about the possibility of compromise being used to destroy this deal.
If there's a real deal between the Americans and the Iranians, and it's going towards that, Netanyahu will try to sabotage it. One of the ways he'd sabotage it is by putting out Epstein material against U.S. government officials, including Trump. And he put it out there. New material that wasn't seen before in public.
So it's not just Trump. I know that Howard Lutnick is mentioned. There are other officials.
And not just Trump, other officials too. Yes. And he'll try to sabotage the whole negotiation and deal that would be that they're trying to make together.
Okay, so that's former member of Mossad, former Israeli intelligence officer. Well, let's check out current Israeli intelligence officer Lucas Gage. Obviously, I'm being a little silly. We don't know for sure whether this guy is a Fed, but he kind of perfectly fits the pattern that is laid out for those who, kind of undercover Nazis, herder, who then later become, well, now I'm anti-Nazi herder. Now we're gonna grift off of this. Lucas Gage fitting this perfectly. Apparently, despite the fact we have people like Ben Minaj pointing out like, hey, they literally might be currently using Epstein compromise to get what they want in regards to Iran. Despite that, Lucas Gage seems to think that actually the Epstein files might have been made to make it look like the Jews were super involved, and actually this is just some big brain scheme, 8D chess to obfuscate the Gentiles involved. So let's check out this lolcow, see what he has to say. I like picking on him occasionally. There'll probably be more clips from this podcast to come because this was the ultimate cucking. Let's check it out.
The Epstein files they're eating children. I'm like, come on, man. He was a guy. He was a pimp. And it's it. And what's funny?
There are some people who are evil enough to do that.
Yeah, but I'm saying he was a pimp, and guess who's dead? Him and Ghislaine is in jail. Where are the goy? Where are the goy in jail? It released the Epstein files. Prince Andrew, right? That's it. What about everyone else in there? If Epstein is a Jew to entrap Gentiles, then the Gentiles are being protected. The Jew is dead, and Ghislaine's in jail.
What was it? I don't know. I might have missed something. Is she Jewish?
She's Jewish. Yeah.
She's Jewish?
Yeah. I don't think she's a practicing Jew.
No.
But
whatever.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, who's being protected now? If Epstein's a blackmail operation, then all the Gentiles are being protected. The Jew is dead. He's dead. And Ghislaine's
wouldn't be surprised if you go through. There's
it's going to be all
probably non-source politicians. Sure, there's bad Jews in there also. I think it's weird that an official list hasn't been released.
It's ridiculous. But it's going to be non-Jews. It's not going to be Jew. If Epstein is,
I think there's going to be Jews.
Some Jews, but like what kind?
Right. There'll be plenty of non-Jews.
At the end, it was actually pretty great comedy there. I know something about like Lucas Gage and two Jews. Like, I don't know, maybe some Jews. Just the bad Jews. Well, I don't know, maybe these Jews, maybe those Jews, maybe the Jews to my left, maybe the Jews to my right. All right, whatever. So I don't know. Something about this whole whatever this dynamic here is pretty funny. They should start a comedy show. But for those who want to just act like whatever, it's no big deal, I figured we'd take a look at the past. Here is a 2006 Palm Beach Post article. I figured we'd read this real quick, worthwhile. Kind of one of the things that started off the firestorm that was the Epstein case. So here is a 2006 Palm Beach Post article. It says called "He Was Over 50 and They Were Girls." If the woman whom Palm Beach police say a part-time town resident invited to his home and paid for sex acts were, in fact, women, the solicitation charge against Jeffrey Epstein might feel more sufficient. But according to police records, they weren't. He was over 50, and they were girls. 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old girls. That should count for something, the difference between prostitution and pedophilia. So it is baffling that Mr. Epstein, who was indicted last month by a grand jury on one felony count of solicitation of prostitution, has not been charged, as Palm Beach police strenuously urge, with unlawful sex acts with a minor and lewd and lascivious molestation. Conviction of crimes against minors would mean steeper penalties than the maximum 5-year prison term Mr. Epstein faces if convicted of the single count of felony solicitation. It would also help carry a message of intolerance to perverts who prey on girls. Prosecutors did not pursue charges against Mr. Epstein, reflecting the age of the victims, because they assumed a jury would view the girls not as victims, but as promiscuous, untrustworthy, willing participants. The presumption is offensive. Mr. Epstein, a 53-year-old Manhattan money manager who has hired Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz and defense attorney Jack Goldberger, has denied knowing how old the girls were. But police interviews of 5 alleged victims and 17 witnesses under oath, as well as phone messages, a high school transcript, and other items that police found from searching Mr. Epstein's trash and 7,234 square foot waterfront home, provided evidence that he knew the girls were teenagers. One girl couldn't show up when Mr. Epstein wanted because she had soccer. Another time, Mr. Epstein had to wait for his massage session because the girl he wanted was still in class. Why didn't state attorney Barry Krischer let a jury decide whether to believe the teenagers, including a 16-year-old who went to Mr. Epstein's house to work in December 2004 after being asked whether she needed to make money for Christmas gifts? Prosecutors gave greater weight to the details Mr. Dershowitz provided about the girls in an apparent effort to assail their character. Mr. Dershowitz pointed out to prosecutors that some of the teenagers had talked on MySpace.com about marijuana and alcohol use. The 20-year-old Royal Palm Beach woman who told police she recruited girls for Mr. Epstein has a webpage on myspace.com that features one girl using the name Pimpin' Made Easy. Although no charges of witness tampering have been filed, the parents of at least one of the teenage victims complained to police of being followed and intimidated by two men. Police determined that their vehicles were registered to two private investigators. Mr. Goldberger denied knowing anything about it. Police also note in the reports that the state's attorney's office offered Mr. Epstein a plea deal that would have placed him on probation for 5 years, allowing him ultimately to walk away with no criminal record at all. I asked Mr. Krischer's spokesman, Mike Edmondson, why the case was referred to a grand jury instead of Mr. Epstein being charged and facing a trial before a jury. And shouldn't the victim's credibility be a factor to determine whether a crime's been committed, not whether a jury will convict? Especially, I asked Mr. Edmondson to explain, why shouldn't the public look at this case and think there are two kinds of justice, one for the wealthy and one for the rest of us? Mr. Edmondson said he could not comment on the case because it is active, but on the latter point he offered, for the sake of philosophical debate, whether wealth buys a different standard of justice across the country. The answer to that would, of course, be yes. But in this case, he said, regardless of the battery of attorneys, the outcome would be the same. Every issue that was debated in public was debated in our office before this case went to the grand jury. In this case, it's not the victim's credibility, but the state attorneys that deserves questioning. This was written by Elisa Kramer. She's an editorial writer for the Palm Beach Post. So this is one of the original pieces back in the day. And even more to the monster that is Epstein and the sort of reach this man has. Here's an old post from Boltzmann Booty saying reporting on the Epstein files. It says March 15, 2018 at 6:40 a.m. Jeffrey Epstein says his government will fall this week as planned, referring to Miro Lajčák, who was Slovakian Minister of Foreign Affairs and President of the UN. Then on March 15, 2018, 12:26 p.m., so 6 hours later, NPR reports the collapse of the Slovakian government. He's quote tweeting too, also right about the same time, on that same exact day, I believe. Let me see. Yeah, March 15th. Yep, on March 15th, there's also he's having dinners with Bannon on that same exact day. So see, yes, I saw it. I will invite Jerry Baker to our dinner tonight. To Miro Lajčák, so we just mentioned him a minute ago. President of UN will guide the EU project if you like him. His government will fall this week as planned. So this is a back and forth with Steve Bannon here. Then in response is, what time is dinner? So yeah, 6 hours later, Slovakia has fallen. So it's kind of weird how that works. I'll give you a little bit of idea of the sort of, how do I put this? The connections between these two. Now here, Boltzmann Booty posted below it the murder of Jan Kuciak. I'm wondering if that's related. Let's check this out. It says, sounds like it might be. It says 17 May 1990 to 28 January or 21 February 2018. What do we say? It was March. What do we say? March 15th. So a couple weeks later after this, the Slovakian government falls. This was a Slovak investigative journalist. They worked as a reporter for the news website Actuality.sk and focused mainly on investigating tax fraud of several businessmen with connections to top-level Slovak politicians. He and his fiancée, Martina Kushnirova, were assassinated on 21 February 2018 in their home in Velká Maka, Galanta district, Slovakia. He was the first journalist murdered in Slovakia since the country's independence. The murders caused shock and disbelief throughout the country, sparking mass popular protests and political crisis, with the government of Prime Minister Robert Fico on one side and President András Kiska and opposition parties on the other. The crisis culminated on 15 March with the resignation of Prime Minister Fico and his entire cabinet, followed by the forming of a new cabinet led by Peter Pellegrini. According to the prosecution's indictment, businessman Marian Kostner tasked Elena Zuskova with arranging Kuciak's murder, and she in turn tasked Zoltán Andruško, who ordered Thomas Szabo and Miroslav Maršek to carry out the murder. Andruško, a businessman from Chotin, admitted to ordering the murder and was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Marshak, a former soldier, admitting to shooting Kushyak and Kushnarova and was sentenced to 25 years in prison. His cousin Thomas Szabo, a former policeman, was sentenced to 25 years in prison for participating in the murder. Says the case is ongoing. So maybe just a convenient death right around that time. We didn't see anything in there that necessarily points to Epstein was in any way involved, but it's just kind of weird how these things work. But speaking of, dead/missing people, we have one to cover. Here's Julie K. Brown that, I follow her account, and this kind of brought it to my attention. So, woman involved with Epstein recruiter has been missing since 2015. The story by German magazine Der Spiegler. Her family says her name is in the Epstein files. Now, that was a paywalled link, so I did find the from the IBT with International Business Times covering this. I thought this was kind of interesting, gave an inside look on some of the people who disappear in this machine and the sort of people that are sort of people Epstein's moving and shaking with, and you kind of get to see like how this plays out, and it starts to make a little bit more like sense in my opinion. So this is a German model, disappeared in 2015. At the age of 22, has returned to public attention after newly serviced references and Epstein-related documents allegedly linked her to a modeling scout who once messaged Jeffrey Epstein saying, "You will love her." The woman, identified only as Michelle, has not been since she went missing from her family home in Germany in September 2015. And authorities have not confirmed any connection between her disappearance and Epstein or his associates. But while Michelle's name has reportedly appeared in that material, investigators have not established that she met Epstein, and no formal link between her and the disappearance has been verified. Her case has largely remained dominant in public discussion for years, treated as an unresolved missing person investigation in Germany. She was working in modeling at the time of her disappearance and had reportedly traveled internationally, including to Dubai. After 2015, however, there were no confirmed sightings or publicly verified updates on her whereabouts. Latest interest was triggered after German media reported that a modeling scout identified as Daniel Siad had been referenced in Epstein-related communications, per The Sun. Siad is alleged to have forwarded photographs and personal details of models to Epstein, alongside comments promoting their suitability for recruitment. Among those references, according to the report, was Michelle's name, accompanied by the phrase reportedly sent to Epstein, "You will love her." Siad is currently under investigation in France on suspicion of involvement in activities connected to trafficking allegations linked to Epstein's wire network. He denies wrongdoing. At the same time, has been no court ruling establishing criminal liability in relation to the claims made against him in connection with Michelle or other individuals. Importantly, investigators have not confirmed that Michelle ever met Epstein. There is no evidence publicly presented by law enforcement linking her disappearance directly to him. Her mother, speaking in comments reported by media outlets, said, "I think she's no longer alive. Something was done to her. No official conclusion has been reached regarding her fate." Former associates of Epstein contacted by journalists during recent reporting said they did not recognize her name, further adding to ambiguity of the alleged reference in the files. The lack of corroborated testimony has left key aspects of the story unverified. Epstein-related investigations have in recent years expanded across multiple jurisdictions, examining the roles of assistants, intermediaries, and recruiters who allegedly helped facilitate contact with young women. Some communications recovered from his estate have shown extensive correspondence about modeling opportunities and introductions, though the meaning and context of individual references often vary and are not always indicative of direct involvement. In Michelle's case, however, the available information remains fragmentary. What is known is that she vanished in September 2015 after being last seen in Germany. Remains unclear as whether modeling work abroad played any role in her disappearance, whether the newly surfaced references showed she's one of Epstein's victims. Now there was, I think the Siad guy, because I went through a few different articles to find one that I thought covered the relevant information. Now I do think it left out, I'm pretty sure the Siad guy, like part of what he would do is he would like essentially set these girls up with like Saudis and stuff. So, oh yeah, Dubai. There we go. Actually, remember, that's what I was thinking of. She'd been working in modeling at the time of her disappearance and had reportedly traveled internationally, including Dubai. So there's a connection. I think Siad has some like Dubai connections, which is unsurprising if you're talking about these sort of traffickers that they would have Dubai connections. But it kind of, I think, is more illustrative for those who understand the sort of things that go on there. Dubai chocolate, it's kind of suspicious it came on the scene recently, right? You guys ever heard of what Dubai chocolate is if you aren't actually talking about the chocolate? Yeah, it's a thing that these rich, powerful men essentially get these young, beautiful women, pay thousands upon thousands of dollars to get them over here, and then abuse the absolute living shit out of them. I mean, over in these Middle Eastern countries where basically they have carte blanche to do whatever they want. I mean, many of these people, the legal systems is 100% entirely in their pocket, I guess would be the way to say it. So just another kind of look into this, and also kind of pointing out the international nature of all this. COD's currently under investigation, so it's not necessarily done. Obviously, far be it for me to ever trust the government that anything's going to necessarily come of an investigation, but I did want to let you guys know that, hey, that is one other vector of investigation still happening. We have the COD guy who's linked into all of this. Furthermore, we got more on the New Mexico investigation. They've sent letters to J.P. Morgan and other companies looking like they're kind of increasing the scope of the investigation. So I figured we'd dig into that together. Here is Epstein investigators target J.P. Morgan Chase, Google, and dozens of firms in Zorro Ranch criminal probe. So this investigation seems to be expanding, so worth paying attention to. So New Mexico investigators have ordered J.P. Morgan Chase, Google, and more than 24 other major firms to preserve records tied to Jeffrey Epstein's secretive Zorro Ranch, and a significant escalation of the criminal probe into the disgraced financier's activities in the state. The move is designed to lock down financial, travel, and digital data that could expose the full logistical network behind what allegedly happened at the isolated property. The preservation letters are an initial step as the New Mexico DOJ prepares formal subpoenas. Officials reopened the inquiry earlier this year to scrutinize activities linked to Epstein and several close associates, including Leslie Groff, Ghislaine Maxwell, Darren Indyke, and Richard Kahn. Securing corporate records is intended to ensure that potential evidence is not deleted or destroyed before investigators can obtain and review it. The formal demands for data preservation extend across multiple industries that dealt with the estate. Authorities are focusing on major banks, telecommunications providers, commercial airlines, and technology companies. By targeting a broad spectrum of entities, prosecutors are casting a wide net to uncover fresh details. According to documents obtained by the Wall Street Journal, the state is determined to trace the movements and transactions connected to the ranch. The communications outline a clear mandate for these firms to preserve records, ensuring no data is lost before legal requests can be formalized. So I find it quite heartening this is still going, especially if you think about like the political game here. We got, what is it, something like, I forget, it was like less than 100 days away or something from the midterms. I forget exactly when the midterms are, but that's not too much further out. So once the political power shifts a little bit, I wouldn't be surprised if stuff like this comes out of the woodworks. They start using this stuff to apply leverage to the Trump administration. Will be interesting to see if they play that game. Now, obviously, I'm neither a fan of the Democrats nor the Republicans. So while there are a lot of people who think the Democrats are going to come in and they're going to go clean house to the Republicans and essentially get rid of all the Epstein class, yada yada. I mean, there's a cynical side of a lot of people, myself included. It's like, yeah, are they really? Are they going to come in and focus on stupid gay shit that no one gives a fuck about, and not focus on the things that matter? Essentially playing gay little culture war stuff. Now, continuing on with this, financial institutions like J.P. Morgan Chase are uniquely positioned to provide detailed documentation regarding financial flows. Investigators hope these banking records will reveal how the New Mexico property was funded and operated. Tracking the flow of money remains standard procedure in unraveling financial networks. Commercial airlines and private aviation companies maintain logs that detail the travel itineraries of their passengers. Retaining these records will allow authorities to establish a timeline of who visited the remote compound. This logistical data is crucial for corroborating the presence of individuals in the facility. So that we might start finding out more about the people who visited Zorro Ranch. Now, obviously, that's not nowhere near as like incriminating. Not that it's necessarily incriminating as going to like the island, but it'd be nice to get like a larger picture of the sort of people who are going to the island, the sort of people that are going to the Zorro Ranch. How regularly are they going to the Zorro Ranch? I'd like to know this sort of stuff. Now, technology companies, particularly Google, hold vast repositories of user data. Authorities are relying on these archives to potentially reconstruct the digital footprint of Epstein and his associates. So this could be interesting in this current world we're living in, with all the data that they have. If they are able to get some of these, data companies to work with them, could be pretty interesting. Securing these powerful servers is intended to prevent the accidental purging of crucial evidence regarding the widening criminal probe. Phone networks routinely store metadata that can place a mobile device's general location at specific times. accessing this archival data could position associates within the perimeter of the New Mexico ranch. This approach underlines the state's aim of holding all relevant parties accountable. So, now transitioning from preservation letters to executing subpoenas typically requires demonstrating that the requested materials are relevant to an ongoing investigation. So currently they've sent these preservation letters saying they need to preserve all this stuff, yada, yada, but they haven't actually subpoenaed them, which is the actual, mandating legally that they give it to you. So I think, from my understanding, the preservation letter is probably more along the lines of like a cease and desist, like this is my official, my lawyer is telling you need to stop doing this thing. Like you're not actually being, no literal legal pressure is being, applied to you. You're just being given almost like a courtesy, like, hey, we might apply some legal pressure if you don't cut the shit. So this seems to be kind of the same thing. The state's DOJ will need to legally compel these companies to hand over the materials. This structured legal process is designed to ensure that any recovered evidence will be admissible in future court proceedings. Now, I'm not Tyler, the lawyer friend of the show, so I'm not entirely sure how this would play out, but I'm pretty sure, too, also, like, the purpose of something like this, like a preservation letter, is that allows you to be able to point to, like, hey, I notified them they shouldn't be deleting shit here going forward because this will be relevant. So, this is essentially them, we're notifying them that we're conducting criminal investigations. This is stuff that we may use. I don't know if, to what degree they'd be legally in trouble for going against it, but at least provide some sort of hey, look, I told them at this point in time, and they clearly deleted it, a week later or whatever. Essentially, it's notifying that this is the case. I think there is some level of they are liable, from my understanding. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe Tyler will dig into this. I doubt it, but. Anyways, so I think it does have a little bit more bite than just like a cease and desist. Investigators are working to assemble a comprehensive database of physical and digital evidence before filing any formal charges. The letters represent the initial phase of what is expected to be a prolonged review. The full scale of these activities may only become clear once this corporate data is analyzed. State prosecutors are expected to issue detailed subpoenas to extract specific files from the secured archives. New Mexico officials say they remain focused on pursuing justice regarding operations at the ranch. The eventual outcome of this investigation will likely depend heavily on what these preserved records ultimately reveal. So it's got more going on with the Zorro Ranch side of things. So who knows? Maybe we'll get some Zorro files. That would be cool. Now, who knows? I doubt anything too substantive will come of it. But to kind of give a little bit of a ground level view of how, especially maybe for some of the minor actors, something like this could work. Now, obviously, it's just a hypothetical. I'm not saying this person did actually do anything. But I think I think we can extrapolate. You guys can see how, I scratch my back, you scratch yours. We've got a good little audience of pattern recognizers here, so I think you'll get what I'm setting down here. I thought this was particularly interesting. You guys may have heard some stories here and there. I think we've mentioned it once or twice in the show, the whole reflecting pool fiasco and some of the other construction endeavors over in D.C. and some of the seeming corruption from construction companies here. Well, recently there's been lots of pictures, videos, people pointing at the reflecting pool. I know we had talked a while ago. I think the last we talked, they were getting ready to install this new bluish thing, and a lot of people were saying it came off as tacky, this is part of Trump's whole 250 thing and making DC look nice and yada yada, and he wanted to give it this red, white, and blue, over the top blue, almost I can't even think of what shade, just kind of more of a cartoonish bluish, kind of literally trying to be red, white, and blue, and as opposed to just a natural bluish reflection sort of color. You want to make it far more pop type of blue. And it looks like he got his way. He got this guy, John Cafaro, to come work on it to install this new liner in the reflecting pool. And apparently it looks like absolute shit. There's all people posting pictures of where it's cracked and breaking up. The color is kind of gross. I mean, I don't have a strong opinion on it all, but I do think at least we're seeing how this came into place, how this happened is worthwhile. Here is John Cafaro. He's a Trump donor. He's a Mar-a-Lago neighbor. Here is this guy. You guys, I know for the audio people, you're missing a huge key component of my coverage here. Just check the physiognomy on this motherfucker. Holy moly. But yeah, he got a no-bid contract to install a water purification system for the reflecting pool. Now I don't think he was the one who did the liner, but he's the one that I guess they're saying the water looks green now. So then, because this is the guy they're blaming on. He said he has 2 prior convictions, one for bribing a member of Congress, another one for an illegal loan that violated campaign finance laws. So here he is he's bribing members of Congress. He's getting these construction deals, putting out shit product. Funny enough, you'd be blown away by this, but the name of his company is like Greenwater Industries or something like that. Greenwater something. So that's obviously funny. But worth pointing out, look at this guy. I mean, look how these things work. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Is Trump really all that concerned about, the reflecting pool, all the different things in D.C.? Is he really all that concerned about a ballroom? Or is this just all, a boondoggle for money laundering? And essentially, is it compromise that keeps all of this stuff swirling around? Wouldn't surprise me in the least. But this is a little bit of an inside look of what's going on over there in D.C., I think one of these days we may have to take the time to do actually a more in-depth segment on all of that. It does legit just look like money laundering to me, and I'd be astounded. Oh, I did also want to point out, this guy's Mar-a-Lago. We started this off talking about the Palm Beach story. Keep in mind that like Palm Beach, Mar-a-Lago, like these people ran in the same circles. So like Trump admittedly was like buddies with him, but you supposedly broke it off with him once he found out he was being a creep. There's conflicting takes of that story. There's supposedly it was over a real estate deal. There's even supposed quotes of Trump saying, "Oh, like everybody knew about this. Like I'm so glad you guys." So the point is, like I bet you almost everybody knew about this in this area, if not was in on it. So you have John Cafaro, another one of these neighbors, kind of in this social milieu, getting these huge hookups. Let me see if I can find out. I think it was in the millions too. I forget how much he got for this too. A $13 million contract. That's what he got. It's a $13 million contract for a water purification system for the reflecting pool, and did an absolute dog shit job. But with that, let's roll through the chat, say our goodbyes, and I gotta get out of here. I have a fun outro for you guys. It's a POV of when a fucking Zionist shows up in my chat. But yeah, let's roll the chat, say some more good mornings, and say some goodbyes. Swedish Doom Goblin, have you heard the rumor Putin was in the Order of the Eastern Star when he was younger in London? I have not heard that rumor, nor do I even know what the Eastern Star is. I gotta say, it sounds like it's probably some sort of like Jewish, like secret society or something. Let's see what it is. I'm looking it up right now. Order of the Eastern Stars, worldwide fraternal nonprofit charitable service organization that's an associated body of the family of Masonry, similar to Shriners, Scottish Rite, York Rite, and cuts off there. Okay, so this is a subsect of the Masonic tradition, I guess, so for Freemasonry or whatever. So okay, so that's what that is. I have not heard that. Completely believable. I mean, I'm not the least bit surprised. We got Nevsky saying, look at Ari Ben Menashe's background. He's a liar. Yeah, I mean, he's really intelligent. So, like, yeah, of course he's a liar. And yeah, I don't know. I'm not necessarily saying anything he says is truth. He seems like a big old fucking liar. Nevsky says Lucas Gage was also on Jeremy Boring's podcast recently, too. Yeah, I know. I saw that wild stuff. Good morning, Bug Fights. Good morning. IFV33 says, all this winning MAGA keeps on winning. Greatest president of our lifetimes. Promises made, promises kept. Oh, okay. Sure. Well, I appreciate, I don't know. I think you're being serious, but thank you for the interaction. I appreciate the engagement. Let's keep going. Good morning, Das. Good morning. Have you ever seen Joe Blyden, Candace Owens Eichel is in the Epstein files? He got the permit for the island property. Did he? I didn't know that. I did not know that. If anyone knows, like has seen that anywhere, tag me in that, because or DM me or something, because I'd like to learn more about that. Let me see. Joseph Blyden. Let's see if I can find that, or at least keep that to look it up later. Blyden. Joseph Blyden, Epstein. Let me see. Epstein. Let's put in my Google to look up later. Joseph Blyden, Epstein. I mean, nothing came up on Google right up, but I'm just more putting it there so I remember for later. I didn't expect there to be anything Google-wise in there. You got the permit for the island properties. What else we got? Let me see. So this is an anti-Jewish channel. I mean, not all Jews, but like depends on how you define it, I guess. Anti-Israel, that's for sure. Yeah. I don't necessarily explicitly have a problem with Jews, but like, I mean, let's be real. Most of the time, if we're speaking in generalities, like they tend to fucking be super pro-Israel. So, but yeah, like. So yeah, I mean, like just in the same way you may say the Catholics or something, or you may find me saying the Jews, but do I mean literally every Jew? No, definitely not. Definitely not pro-Semite. This is aggressively agreeing sense. Farm Girl says goodbye. Thanks for the show. You are welcome. Yeah, John Black says the Addams family's in the reflecting pool business. It sure looks like that. Swedish Doom Goblin saying once again, yeah, he was in the Order of Eastern Star when he spent time in England. So. All right, with that, let's go get out of here. No, we are anti-Zionist. I'm not necessarily anti-Jewish, although I will say, as I've been talking about lately, when it comes to like the Jewish thing, it's like, well, what are you talking about? Are you talking about an ethnic Jew? Are you talking about a practicing Jew? And even then, it's like, I guess you can even get further down the rabbit hole. Like, well, what sect are you talking about? But yeah, anyways, all that Judaism is a system of beliefs. Now, if you're talking about an ethnic Jew, it gets a little bit more complicated, but even then, though, it's an ethnicity that formed out of a pattern of beliefs. So, it's no different than someone being like, oh, you're anti-Islam or something like, okay, like, sure, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Depends on the context we're talking about here. But even then, all the Islam is a pattern of belief as well. So, but whatever. I'm rambling now. UK is behind a lot of the division, in my opinion. Yeah, probably. Definitely. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised. Lots of fun little conspiracies when you go down, like, what is it? The City of London sort of stuff. Fun stuff. All right, let's get out of here. For those who enjoy what I'm doing here, please hit the like button. Please subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. Like, share. Forgot the share thing. And if you want to support the show, the best way... Oh, you can find this on YouTube, Rumble, all the major odd podcatchers, Twitter as well. On Twitter, that's at TowerGangJose. Everywhere else, it's the No Way Jose podcast. And if you want to support the show the best way you can do this with money over at patreon.com. There's No Way Jose 2020. In the top left-hand corner, right over there, see our QR code. That'll bring you the same exact place. And also at the low level $2, you get a whole host of perks. I do about 1 to 2 episodes per week behind the paywall. To keep about 3 to 4 of them behind the paywall at any given time. Also give you guys access to ad-free RSS feed, give you guys access to Telegram, the pre-show, the post-show, and video calls. And me and Austin's weekly live call-in show Already Dead. I also get a big shout out at the highest level of my Patreon. Is a big thank you for their support. And my previous coach on Tower Gang, Outlander Toad, also at Brigade D's, at ZOVRCK, at _ Zeal, Tim Tull, at John Klebold, big fan of the show Torme, at Wayne Takis, Winter Cover Kids, No Free Lunch, Jack, Mark Vestibule, Jacob Wintergrad, the Biblical Anarchy Podcast, and John Black, you beautiful bastard. And with that, guys, here is POV. Me when a Zionist roll up in the chat. This is when you step to me, you fool. That's what this is. Are you kidding me? Screen sharing is being just glitched up. What is? All right, there we go. That was weird. Okay, got it now. All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow, probably around 11 a.m. Eastern, give or take. And if not, with the very least, we'll see you tomorrow night around 9:30 p.m. Eastern. I think Austin's going to be back for this one, by the way. He wasn't supposed to be here this week, but his schedule changed. I think we'll have some announcements for you guys in that regard. So big stuff for Austin. Excited from Love the Homie. With that, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bitch, I got an op exterminator. Who want smoke? Pussy ass boy. What you trying to do, bitch? Yeah, y'all think I don't got a wall, but I got them, bitch. I'll put that bitch on, you pussy ass boy. Yeah. Bitch, I got an op exterminator.